I was standing in a Whole Foods checkout line, counting out greasy dollar bills with shaking hands, praying the total wouldn't cross $700, when my mother grabbed my wrist and whispered, "Haley, where is the black card I sent you? The one with the $10,000 monthly limit." My heart stopped. I didn't have a black card. I never received a black card, but my sister Kylie had. And in that moment, under the fluorescent lights and judgmental stares of wealthy shoppers, my entire life for the last 6 months suddenly made horrifying sense. If you've ever been manipulated by someone you trusted, if you've ever swallowed your pain to keep the peace, then hit that subscribe button. Drop a like, and tell me in the comments what you would have done in that checkout line. Because what happened next? Justice wasn't just served. It erupted. My name is Haley. I'm 32, a single mother, and 6 months before this checkout line explosion, I arrived in Atlanta with nothing but 2 suitcases and my 5-year-old son Noah. A brutal divorce had left me financially destroyed and emotionally hollow. My older sister, Kylie, was the only person I could turn to. At least, that's what I thought. She welcomed us into her apartment with a smile that I desperately wanted to believe was genuine. But underneath the warmth, there was something else, something sharp, calculating. I couldn't see it then. I was too broken. On the very first night, she sat me down like a misbehaving child. She told me, Mom was furious about my divorce. Mom had cut me off financially. And the only way to earn back respect was to prove my independence. Kylie said SHE would handle. All communication with Mom, all long-term finances, all major decisions. My job? Just work and contribute. I agreed instantly. I felt worthless, ashamed, and desperate for stability. I didn't question anything, but I should have. Kylie took the master bedroom, cool, spacious, luxurious. She kept it at a perfect 68 degrees. Silk sheets, queen mattress, espresso machine. Noah and I slept in the living room on a sticky leather couch that clung to our skin in the Georgia humidity. The AC vent just happened to be broken. She said we shouldn't complain. And I didn't, because I believed I owed her everything. My day started at 4 a.m. I scrubbed corporate bathrooms as a janitor, then rushed home to take Noah to school, then waitressed an 8-hour lunch shift, then handed over every dollar I earned to Kylie's household jar. She always said, "You're barely covering the utilities." And I believed her. I was too exhausted to do the math. 3 months in, the first major crack appeared. One morning, kneeling to tie Noah's sneakers, I saw his big toe poking through a peeling hole. The rubber sole had separated like a dead leaf. I tried shading his sock with marker so the hole wouldn't look as obvious. That was the day something inside me finally snapped. I asked Kylie, politely, humbly, if I could take $50 from the money she claimed to be saving for us. She didn't even raise her eyes from her tablet. She scoffed. "You have the nerve to ask when you're barely paying your share? Stop being a freeloader, Haley." I walked out with my vision blurry from tears. If I had stayed, she would have threatened to kick us out. To buy my son a pair of shoes, I picked up a third job delivering food until 2 to 3 a.m. Driving through dark neighborhoods, praying my old car wouldn't break down, I realized this life didn't feel temporary anymore. It felt like a trap. One afternoon between shifts, I found a blue envelope on the counter with my mother's handwriting. Elegant, familiar, hopeful. I reached for it. Kylie snatched it and threw it into the trash. Credit card offers. Stop being nosy. I felt something cold slither into my gut, but I was too scared to confront her. Every Sunday, Kylie orchestrated a video call with Mom. She held the phone herself. She angled it carefully away from the cramped living room and the heat-blistered couch. She smiled like an angel. And before every call, she whispered, "Cry or complain, and you'll sleep in a shelter." So I lied. I smiled. I told Mom everything was fine. And I died a little inside each time. One Tuesday, Kylie received a phone call. I watched the blood drain from her face. Mom was coming to Atlanta for a weekend layover. Panic detonated inside Kylie. Suddenly, she hid her designer handbags, locked away her espresso machine, took down expensive art, forced me to deep clean the apartment for 48 hours straight. She drilled a script into my head. Tell her you're self-sufficient. Tell her everything is perfect, or you'll ruin everything. I nodded. I was too afraid not to. When Mom finally showed up, she hugged me tight. Too tight, like she could feel the bones through my shirt. She frowned. You're so thin, Haley. I tried to answer, but Kylie swooped in. She's doing intermittent fasting. Mom didn't buy it, but she let it go. That night, on the couch, I heard Kylie dragging something heavy across her bedroom floor. For almost an hour. I didn't know it then, but she was rearranging her hiding places. Kylie had a migraine, so I took Mom grocery shopping. Mom filled the cart with *Wagyu, organic berries, imported cheese, truffle oils. Things I would never dream of buying. Things I could never afford. At checkout, the total flashed $702. 59 *. My hands shook as I counted out crumpled dollar bills. And then it happened. Mom grabbed my wrist, her voice a razor-edged whisper. Haley, where is the black card I sent you?
I blinkte her.
Black card. Her expression twisted. I sent you an American Express Centurion with a $10,000 monthly limit. Kylie signed for it. The floor dropped out from beneath me. My mind churned, replaying 6 months of lies. The broken couch. The triple shifts. The starving child. The thrown-away letters. The staged video calls. The designer handbags. The locked bedroom. The espresso machine. The disappearing money. I never received the card, but Kylie had. Mom abandoned the groceries. We're leaving. Right now. The drive home was dead silent. Mom's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. When we burst into the apartment, the sound of explosions filled the air. Not real ones, video game explosions. Kylie was sprawled on the couch, gaming headset on, screaming at her teammates, while her nephew cried alone in the kitchen. I found him sitting on the linoleum floor, eating a stale pizza crust out of the trash. I was so hungry, Mommy. Auntie wouldn't wake up. Mom's gasp was animalistic. Mom tore into Kylie's locked bedroom. Under the bed, she found dozens of luxury receipts, expensive empty vodka bottles, hidden designer goods, and at the bottom, a black envelope. She pulled out the heavy titanium card with my name engraved on it. Mom's voice cracked. She was stealing your life. Kylie stood frozen, her face white. Mom threw the receipts and card at her. Explain. Kylie straightened like a cornered snake. I was protecting her. She's unstable. She would have wasted the money. I held up her phone. On the screen was a fresh notification. $500 purchase. In-game currency. I stepped forward. My son was eating trash while you spent $500 on video game coins. Mom didn't say another word. She just dialed. First the police. Then the family attorney. When officers arrived, they took in the scene. Luxury goods, our makeshift bed, in the sweltering living room, the starving child, the stolen credit card. They cuffed Kylie for felony identity theft, child endangerment, fraud. As they dragged her out, she screamed, "You ungrateful brat. I gave you a home." Mom didn't flinch. "You are no daughter of mine." And just like that, Kylie was gone.
The seasons changed.
I opened my own bakery, something I dreamed about for years. Mom helped me recover the stolen funds, and for the first time in my adult life, I could breathe. Noah flourished. He laughed again. He grew again. He lived again. One afternoon, driving to my supply vendor, I saw her. Kylie, wearing an orange vest, picking up trash on the side of the highway. Court-mandated community service. No friends. No job. No support.
No luxury.
Just consequences. I didn't stop. I didn't wave. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. I learned that family can wound you deeper than enemies. And blind trust? It can destroy you. But I also learned that justice, real justice, comes when you reclaim your power, your voice, and your life. Nobody will save you until you decide you're worth saving. If this story hit home, if you've ever clawed your way out of someone else's control,
Hit that like button.
subscribe for more real stories of justice and survival. And tell me in the comments, what's the coldest revenge you've ever witnessed? Thanks for watching. And remember, your story isn't over. You're the one holding the pen.